students can get a lot of knowledge from that comparing with the standard course. So when I came here in Beaumont, uh, Dean Frank now visiting, and he requested me to adapt that course that we designed in our environment. So basically what we want to do in our syllabus, our main goal is to teach real estate portfolio analysis by project, okay? So we created that project and we cut that in little pieces, weekly assignments. And every week they have a little part of that big puzzle that we're creating. And week by week, they put all assignments, and at the end of the course, they have their project. They get that big understanding. What is the real estate from macro to micro level? Okay. So to achieve excellence in online environments is a little bit difficult because it's way different. And face-to-face teaching, I interact with students, I touch them, I can feel if they're understanding or not. In online environment, we have a lot of challenges, and it's very difficult because real estate is a big, broad area of finance. So we deal with different kinds of properties like healthcare properties, hospitality properties, lands, residential, retail, and etc. So in order to teach, we really need to have some hands-on material to be able to be more efficient. And also here in real estate course, we deal with profitability, with taxes, with management, with transparency. So what we did, we created that project and cut in the pieces. And we created it in a way that if you don't complete the first one, you can't move forward. You can't do the second assignment. If you don't have that first and second, you can't go forward. So it's kind of changed students in virtual platform to develop that foundation, then put the walls, and then put the roof. They can't come at the end of the course and say, okay, let me put all together in an hour or 2 hours. So they need to dedicate time. And this works a lot and very good because many online students, they are like MBA students, they are full-time employees. They have jobs. They're very busy people. And when I'm lecturing and I'm telling, okay, let's get data, let's analyze, let's create those comparative statements, let's do that fundamental analysis that we're doing, it works. But when I'm assigning them reading, nobody reads. Or they just wait for exam and to work and pass, and that's their main purpose. I understand because they're very busy and the time that they have is very limited. In case of the undergrad students, it's a little bit different story. So, but this works very good because we cut that project in 5 pillars. So first step that we start, we do financial analysis in macro level. What's going on in international and national level. When they create that base of analysis, then we jump and do capital market analysis. Then we analyze real estate sector and industry. Then we pick real estate investment company, and then from that point they do analyze the business. Okay, so you can see the logical connection between each stage. So if student missed assignments in this stage, and want to advance here, no way. Forget about learning or doing something. So Dean French gave me some manuals and advices and some books, which talks basically about principles of this learning method. So why he decided to use this approach? When there's a research which shows the learning pyramid. When somebody lectures, after a year, students remember just 5%. The big majority of students. When they read, they remember after a year, 10%. When they see demonstrations, they remember 30%. But when they practically work on projects, after a year, they remember 75 to 90%. So that's why he decided to adapt this course in online platform and use project method. So because of the efficiency. Now, in this case, we don't use traditional teacher-centered teaching. I don't go to the classroom or don't record a lot of videos and upload them. So it's not teacher-centered. It's more focused on each student. So we have that conceptual framework. We have guidelines, how to create, how to work in assignments. We have that short videos, 6 to 9 minutes. We don't put 30-minute videos or lectures. So, and we focus on students. So here we promote a lot student thinking, how creative they are. We give a lot of liberty, what companies to choose, what real estate industry to step in. If you want to analyze healthcare properties, go ahead and do that. If you want to analyze retail properties, go ahead and do that. So motivation is very important. And when they're motivated to learn about something, they learn a lot. And we divide the time in 50-50%. So we expect students to dedicate half of their time on assignment development and the rest of the half doing research, reading, looking at the basics and all that. So another very important principle here is independent learning. What we did, we experimented, and also research shows when I divide the classroom in group, and it's up to you how to deliver the project. You can put as a group project or an individual. Our case, we decided individual project. Why? When we put them in a group and we tell them, okay, here is your analysis. You should do this. You should come up with this building. They divide. Okay, I will take care of this part of the project. You will take care of this, and she will take care of this, and that's it. And they get fragmented learning. One gets understanding this part, another one to the other part. So it's better to use individual project because that's your job. I expect from you to complete all these assignments from day first to last day, put together and bring me the project. That's your individual project. There's a lot of grading in that case. Some professors divide in a groups, and in like 40 persons student group, they put 4 in each group, so they have 10 projects. I'm full-time teacher, so I can afford grading 40 projects. But like, if you're very busy, you can put in groups and try to manage it that way. So there is a lot of continuous communication with students. Sometimes they are in trouble because it's online. Sometimes they need a lot of guidance. And basically, we use all tools of positive and quantitative analysis to analyze those real estate investment trusts and companies. And all materials are available in Blackboard. So we have that little pieces of assignments by week or day in Blackboard, and every week I make that available to them, and I put strict deadlines. Okay, opening this assignment on Monday, I expect you to deliver that on Sunday. And usually experience shows that MBA students, they work on Saturdays and Sundays. For undergrad, it's a little bit different. So we have those 6 to 9 minutes short conceptual framework videos where we tell, okay, I expect in your assignment, in this assignment, to learn this, read this, and complete in this week. But it's important that they practice. So it's a lot of research, a lot of work, and it worked. So why this method? Why we just get rid of textbook and normal lecturing and we're trying to teach in this way?
More authentic. Mm-hmm. The retention of material that's a major part of it, but it also teaches them some critical thinking as they move through the steps. Mm-hmm. They can start to see the output come together. So,
mm-hmm. So especially in real estate courses, maybe you can test in programming what you teach. What course?
We're instructional designers, so
Okay.
a lot of different things.
So, so you're in everything. Okay. So in real estate, it's very useful, and many European universities use this method, project-based learning method, and Harvard, Stanford, they have the case teaching method. They also use project-based learning method, and we're trying to do in College of Business also that kind of teaching. And I was very happy when Dale yesterday told them he might adapt that in his programming course, which is very interesting. That's even more for programming because I'm not familiar. I don't have knowledge of that. So this is like a little thing. So I learned about project-based learning method in Trump University. Do you believe?
It's good.
I said okay. So so in the beginning of the course, we made clear students will have your first and second test, 30% of your grade. Final exam will contribute 25%, assignment and project 25. But you can play here and make it 30% or more if you want to focus more on project. Or the other way is to have tests and the final exam a little bit simple and tell them no way to pass this course without bringing the project. So I make work in that way. So there is no way to pass my course. They know without completing assignment, there is no way to pass. Even they make good in their tests. So so how we use this method to motivate students. So the teacher's role. So teacher should act in this course like this or not? Why?
Because you want the students to direct their own learning and not be intimidated by the process.
Yeah, this might work in case of the exam style, tough exam course, but there is no way to be very tough. So in this course, you need to be more. What I learned from being French was to be like this.
Okay.
So basically, you need to engage with all students in their group project. They come to your office. They need some guidance, but mostly you need to give them a lot of space and distance, and just put a lot of rules and tell, I want you to analyze this company and this industry and whatever. What we're telling, what I learned from Dr. French, so he said, okay, you will graduate, you will be in job market soon, so you want to work somewhere, right? Where is your dream business that you want to work? If you want to work in General Electric or in some business, so analyze that company. Pick the industry. If you want to work in healthcare, so let's analyze the real estate, buildings and properties in this sector. So when you go to the job interview, you know a lot about company, about industry, about sector. Or when you became CFO and became financial analyst, you'll be familiar with the industry, with the sector, with the business. Or if not, when you have some savings, you can do that analysis and make investment, like because you had that hands-on knowledge. So the final outcome is interesting because motivation is really, really important in this case. So very important in syllabus to make sure what are the course objectives. Our main goal is to complete daily assignments or weekly assignments and get that project. So I will teach you about theory and you will complete the project. So from beginning, I made clear that they should understand macro financial analysis, capital market analysis, real estate sector and industrial analysis, that analyze real estate company. They should learn, watch at least those 6-minute videos about all these pieces, and they also practically should develop what they learned. So it's very aligned. It should be very simple to not confuse, to not get students confused. Sometimes an online platform where we design something, sometimes it becomes right, and it's a kind of labyrinth. So we just need to keep very simple. Dr. French used many books to create the course content, so we don't use just a single textbook. We use one chapter or from one book, a few pages from another book. So he created the best material and transferred it to me. So there is no need to assign or expect students to buy all those books because it's project-based learning method and you deliver the minimum material and they do research. So, and this course can be useful in practical area. How many of you know who is this guy? Benjamin Graham. So he's a godfather of fundamental analysis. So what we did, we just adapted that techniques that they use in fundamental analysis. This another guy is another fundamental analyst, Charlie Munger. Okay. Middle range? No? This guy. Okay, so we basically show students the way how they analyze and the approach of analysis. And we basically try to teach them, okay, in project-based learning method, you need to develop your analytical skills by training. So we are here doing that mock financial analysis, but it's real. If Warren Buffett picks some company, he is going to analyze it this way and use these techniques and use this tool. So this is real analysis. So we expect you to be hard workers because you need to turn in assignments. Without discipline, you can't do that. And be critical thinkers. I'm telling students have independent mind. Don't watch what the crowd is doing in the right or left. Be your own personality. And we live in some reality. And the last thing, focus on your project. Always focus on your project. Sometimes I say, when is the test? Okay, test is a simple thing, guys. It's a kind of little barrier to make sure that we're all on the same page. Focus on project. So, and in syllabus, I have something like this, a little bit philosophical. Only through focus you can do world-class things. Doesn't matter how careful you are. So the return from class is the project. So basically, this is an example when student started his portfolio analysis. He did international, national, macro financial analysis. Then he did real estate industry analysis. Then he picked the Apple Hospitality Real Estate Investment Trust that has properties and rents to Marriott and Hilton. He did financial statement analysis. He created some charts, analyzed the business. So, but behind of this final project, which is presentation that they come up with, we have this daily Excel sheets when they analyze and develop. So weekly, not daily, but you can use daily assignment sheet also. So this one was the fundamental analysis in macro level, macro financial analysis, capital market analysis, industry analysis, then simplified financial statement analysis, comparative financial statement analysis, and ratio analysis. So summarizing that, at the end they come with this final product. And they come in front of me and they present. Or if it's online space, they record and send. But I'm keeping track. I'm telling, hey, you're late. If you don't complete this, we can't do this. If you don't complete this, there is no way to move forward. So, and the good thing is, at the end, they learn, they appreciate, and evaluations comes very good. But also, most of them, they succeed in the course. So the failure rate is lower comparing with the standard face-to-face teaching or standard online teaching. And at the end, they give some comments, which is final product to me. Instructor was very enthusiastic and knowledgeable. one of the best professors. Just this guy should teach more classes. So, any questions? If you have questions, I'm
Now,
happy to answer.
how do you, the participation, okay, then this is coming from an online. How would you handle participation to keep the students engaged in the projects? I know you had this class participation up there. Was that a live class?
No, in case of the MBA, we try to use live. It's not working.
Okay.
If I'm telling tomorrow at 8 p.m., nobody is going to be there, or from 40 students, 2 or 3 will show
Okay.
up. So I record the video, that's 6 minutes.
Right.
I put the Excel, I put instructions how to complete Excel,
Okay.
and an example.
Okay.
So whenever they have time, usually it's on weekends, they watch the video, which is 69-minute video, short video. They watch the instructions, how to complete, where to get data, how to analyze that, and then there is a example, complete one, and there is the scratch, so they're working. In order to feel a little bit student, I have few online activities. First day I record some video, I say, hey, I'm this guy, I like ride bike, I'm teaching finance, blah, blah, blah. So introduce yourself and upload the video. So they record 2-minute video. And then before test, to be a little engaged and feel how they're doing, I do 2 reviews before each test.
Okay.
So I offer them, I will be at 6 p.m. on Friday available for an hour, then on Saturday at 12 p.m. before test. So let's do a live, and most of them, they participate.
Okay, so you do that review live through
Yes.
Collaborate?
Yes,
Okay.
Collaborate Ultra. So in that way, it's a kind of, I'm telling you, it's a review before test, but they are coming with a lot of discussion, and at the end, it transferred to live discussion about project. So, but a part of that is helping them in the groups. They have a lot of questions. They should email or request Skype call. So I do that. And other than that, participation, just looking how many times they logged in the Blackboard, it doesn't help because I have students that I failed from face-to-face class.
Right.
He completed an assignment, now he's in online. And I can see he is logging in, logging out, expecting that I will count that as a participation. But he is not uploading.
Right, it's not doing that.
He is not uploading the assignment. I mean, I said, sorry, you will fail again. What do you expect from this? I mean, I'm not using just log in, log out as a class participation. If you turn in an assignment and I'm evaluating and I'm satisfied, it means you put in enough effort. Just logging in, log out. So,
Okay.
any other questions? So in the instructional design side, what other best practices you use or advice
Or
instructors?
for project based,
Yeah, or case.
there's not a whole lot of people doing it.
Okay.
So it's hard to encourage people to do it because they don't understand it.
How it can be useful. Yeah. Yeah, well, when it's designed, it's like straightforward, and I enjoy working in practical cases. And I want to create few, Dean wants to some cases and put in the project in the middle. So we can in that way track a little bit more intensively. He wants to teach real estate investment trust course or whatever in College of Business. So we're thinking how we can add 2 cases during the project. So to help them, okay, if you don't have a complete project, you have this alternative. You bring 70% of the project plus cases, you still can succeed. So there is a lot of space to maneuver in project business. And it might actually work very good in your classes because you're very large. And I think in programming, you can put them in 5 students in each group.
Yeah, I may do that in the undergrad class, but the graduate classes online. Well, we're going to do it face to face as well, but it'll alternate. But anyway, they're never going to be. I don't think they're ever going to be huge classes.
Oh, so you can do individual.
Yeah, I think I could probably now. The undergrad program classes usually run about 30. So you may be able to
30 and 3.
Let's see. But this is interesting because I teach that 3310, which is that required introduction of MIS. And I'm always looking for ideas to try to get them to do projects where, they can do some critical thinking. I found that if you give them, say, you need to build this spreadsheet, here's how you do it. Well, then they go right to just trying to get through the assignment without really thinking about why they were putting it together to start with. So could maybe use some of this like in a hybrid situation in some of the undergrad classes and try to get more projects into those classes so that they'll get the wheels turned.
Yeah. I mean, we're not there to do all the work and they just observe, right? We're there to
they don't. I mean, for 2 years, I lectured every class. And, then I was like, their eyes were glazed over because I love talking about tech. I mean, that's my thing.
Passion.
But these are, multiple disciplinary students, accounting, finance, general business. They don't share my enthusiasm. And so, I noticed that they're glazing over. I'm wasting time. This is not a good use of the time. My test grades have been pretty much the same for the last 4 long semesters, So what I'm doing is, some of them do okay that have initiative, and some don't do very well that don't. So now I'm trying to figure out how can I break up this monotony and still get the subject matter to them, but in a more hands-on way. So that's a whole nother. That's outside the program. Programming is a lot easier because these are the things you have to know, and you have to do them. You got to do hands-on, or you won't learn. But that 3310 class, it's got that introduction to IT theory, and stuff like that, and then we throw in some Excel and Access and SAP. But I think we need to do more like this.
In case of the undergrad, in MBA, the students are very smart, all of them, so you can give them individual project. In undergrad, face-to-face, there are weak students and strong students.
Yes.
So in project-based or case study, I'm trying to put very good students with the weak students so they help each other.
Yeah,
and move forward, and they learn from each other during the project. So.
But this master's class, I think I'm going to.
Yes.
Yeah, and the other thing I started thinking about was the project needs to be something that they can actually walk away with a piece of software that's useful, that they can take with them, or at least have it so they can put it in their portfolio to say, I did this. None of them are going to be full-blown programmers when they get out there. I mean, this is just to get their feet wet.
But that's a good idea.
Yeah, and so the project needs to lead to a piece of software that's something they can walk away with.
Yeah.
Can you go back to your fundamentals of project-based learning slide, the one that had the circular diagram on it?
Which one?
It was way back toward the beginning. That one.
This one?
The one about it.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this comes from a group called Buck Institute for Education. And everything on here is important because it's easy to look at project-based learning and think, I'm just going to have people do projects and that's project-based learning. It's a lot more than that. So it really starts in the top right corner with that driving question, that when you're making a project, you want them to know, why am I doing this? That's what y'all are both getting at with how do we make sure that what they're doing is important. In your case, they need to know how to do this. in the field. In your case, it may be, you know, you're introducing them to a programming language or why is MIS important? Because you get a lot of people that go through business school and don't even really. Like my undergrad's business, and I never touched MIS when I was there, or when I was at A&M. The inquiry is a big part of it, because you were talking about, you have a little bit of video at the beginning that introduces into it, and then a lot of the research you're doing is on their own. So one of the things you're teaching them by using a project-based approach is, how do I find information on my own when I'm out in the business world and I don't know how to find the right answer? They're not always going to have a professor to go back to and say, how do I do this? So when somebody comes to you with a question, you don't always give them an answer, you give them a method to go find the answer, and then they can come back and discuss it a little bit more with you and say, yes, you're on the right track, then you expand a little bit more and give them a more solid understanding than they're able to find on their own, but they've gotten that critical skill. The 21st century skills they have at the bottom here, that's easy on a programming course. A lot of that is teaching people that aren't used to using the internet for things, and what do we take for granted as people that are educators that know how to use these different tools? Like, how do we expose the students to those? Voice and choice is a big one. The choice you're giving in there is who do you focus on, what side, that's part of it. Some of the other choice would be with your final deliverable, where you're showing kind of a presentation or something they were giving. We teach a lot of how do you use other methods to show what you've done. So it could be some kind of presentation, or it could be,
in his case, software, right?
So, well, if they're you're making something interactive or a video or something, like, it lets them have a little bit of creativity and have
So
some more
some type
fun
of
with it.
output.
Some kind of output that is unique to them, and what not only their skills, what skills they need to have, but their interests too. Because if you get them engaged with what they're doing, they're going to be more likely to go on with it. And the feedback is just throughout the course, which you're getting from doing having your projects broken up, where you're giving them feedback here because they can't get here if they're not doing this right, like you were saying. So you're constantly giving them feedback and letting them go back and make revisions to what they've done. Because a lot of times if they did something completely wrong, they have to go back and revise it, or they don't have that fundamental pillar that you were talking about. And then finally with this is what made me think about going back to this. You mentioned having some kind of a software or something they can go out and use. The public product, not only do they need to have something useful, but it helps if they can share what they have, even with other people in the class. This is what I did. This is why I did it, how it works. Then it's making a more collaborative environment when you're able to do that. So think about how to get projects in there and make them. Yours are a little more structured because if they're trying to do something very specific.
Yeah.
Typically when we're talking about projects and project-based learning, it's a bit more abstract,
Okay.
where
So,
it needs to be something authentic. That's why I said authenticity earlier. It needs to focus on what they're doing, but it needs to be something that they don't feel like they're just being made to do this.
just following the directions and trying to get through the project. So
have a nice rubric that goes over the whole project. What are you looking at? How do you hit your major milestones?
Yeah.
Because there are things they have to know how to do. That's when you go back to your objectives. If your project is not guiding your objective, what's the point in doing it?
That's right.
But that's why I said this is it's a nice chart, because it doesn't focus on any one portion more than any other, because you're trying to teach them the whole. They're trying to learn from the whole method, not just from one or two chunks of it.
So that Beck Institute started to create this as a form.
It goes back. There was a guy in the early 1900s named Dewey, who taught about experiential education, that you can learn from experiences that you've had. And that's adapted over the years into constructivism, and then eventually Buck Institute. Mergendoller, I think, is the guy that started Buck Institute.
Yeah.
He and his group are the ones that are really pushing project-based learning now. And it's mostly, the reason I came to this, it's mostly in K-12 education.
Yeah.
We're starting to do it in higher ed. And my dissertation is, how do you do it for professional development outside of formal educational environments? So, and specifically online. So I like seeing what other people are doing online with it, because professional development is all moving forward online because it's more efficient, it's cheaper, you don't have to take time out of the workday to do it. And
Yeah.
then, so if we know online is the way to go, and we see that project-based learning is good for other levels of education, how do you bring the two together to use it in the corporate world?
Yeah. In this case, I have some students who have a couple of $1,000. When they do their analysis, they go and buy shares. And after a year, they said, hey, I did that analysis and I win this amount of money, and my portfolio appreciated this amount. I made this. So that's interesting. And
Well, that kind of goes back to their public product too,
Yeah.
because you're able to show not only have I just conceptually thought of this, thought of the theory, but I've actually put it into practice. And I've shown that what we're doing here actually works as a investment strategy.
Yeah, in real estate, it's a little bit tough because in case of Dale, as he said, he can get that software as an output. In my case, is okay, if you have some savings, you can use this technique to invest, or whenever you have that job interview for internship, you can talk about business. And I had some students who went to those job interviews and they said, CEO of the company was impressed in that big interview. He said, how do you know all about this company? Gosh, our management team doesn't know all
Right,
this
I mean, by the
information.
time they
I
got
said,
to the end, they
during
knew everything.
6 months, I did
Yeah.
analysis of that. So that was
good.
another kind of input. And then,
Well, even if they don't have money to actually invest, you can do mock investment.
Yeah.
You can say, I've got $20,000. Here's how I'm going to disperse it. I mean, it's really easy with stock markets. There's plenty of websites that let you do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to buy 100 shares of Apple and 20 shares of Amazon and kind of see how it works over time. It's a little different with real estate investment because there's not as many ready resources for that. But you can still keep track of it and see how much you would appreciate it over time.
that's interesting. But I like the idea in my answer.
Yeah, once I get past the fundamentals, then I may be able to allow them some creativity. But since, you know, this could be anywhere from no experience to quite a bit of experience in this class, then it's kind of hard to say, hey, just here's the fundamentals, now build me a piece of software, because I don't know if all of them will be able to get it without more guidance. But I do like the idea of some flexibility to allow some creativity in it.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much I can
Well,
allow.
there's so many resources for programming that are out
Oh,
there.
hey, man, the internet has been, I've been programming for 30 years, and when the internet came along, it's like, woohoo! You know, I mean, up until then, it was like, well, let me spend 40 hours trial and error until I get something to work right, or run down another programmer that you may know. And now you have access to a couple 100 million, you know, on the internet. So, yeah, the internet has been great.
And
Those guys are lucky. They're very lucky. Real estate is the same always.
but that's where you teach those inquiry skills, that you
Oh,
you show them
absolutely, yeah.
what resources do you go to, and like there's so much out there.
Yeah.
The internet's great because years back I was working in an engineering firm. I had to teach myself Fortran in about 2 days. So my first resource was, my dad has a chemical engineering degree from here back in the early 80s.
Oh, man.
So I took his old textbook.
Textbook, yeah.
And you know that was, you were looking at like Fortran 77. And,
Oh, no, yeah, I took Fortran when I went through here the first time.
and then okay, I could get so far with this, and then realized that Fortran changed a bit over the past 40 years.
Well, yeah, it's not all punch cards
And-
anymore, so that's.
And then I was, turning the internet. It wasn't all that hard to figure out how to do it because if you already have a foundation of another programming language,
Right.
it's not all that hard to learn multiple languages.
Because now you get,
know how
there's
structured it works.
emulators, there's tons of emulators, so where back in the day, you had to run that thing on a mainframe, which was extremely expensive, so you didn't get a lot of time. Now they've got emulators that, mirror the environment, you can sit there and practice and code, and burn, and just get after it. So, yeah, no, it's.
That leads into those 21st century skills.
Yeah, and I teach my 3310 students, because they constantly on me about, why do we have to know this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, here's the deal. Tech is everywhere, and it's not only everywhere, it is the leader in almost all types of business innovations. Matter of fact, I challenge them. Tell me one innovation in business that didn't come from a tech-based company or technology in the last 15 years. And they can't. I'm sure there are. I don't always say I'm sure there are something, but they can't. And so I said, so what you're here for is to learn enough about this so that you can form a decent query when you're trying to locate information.
Well, you can even go a step back from that, how important data is. And that's what we're doing. We're gathering data with MIS. We have an MIS guy in our department that we have to know where are our students, when we're marketing to students, where are we focusing our marketing efforts?
Yeah.
And if we didn't have that, it would be so much more time consuming to try to find that by hand than this guy just putting there a quick program and
run through the
gather
data. It's the days of shotgun marketing were open. You used to just basically point at the wall and pull the trigger and then try to see which parts of that pattern actually fall or
way
used.
too expensive.
And then you focused in on that, and you kept narrowing it down and narrowing it down. So yeah, no, it's a big deal. And I try to get, I keep telling them, and I'm not trying to be ugly to any discipline, but the bottom line is they're all going to be tech. Wall Street hires more programmers than it does analysts now. So you better get on board and, keep your eye on what's going on. My favorite example is Sears. Because I try to explain to them, you understand, Sears was in the catalog business in the 1800s. Amazon is a catalog business. Somewhere in Sears, somebody said, hey, why don't you go take a look at this internet thing and see if it's going to pan out? And that executive blew it off as a fad. Now, I guarantee he's not working for Sears anymore. But Sears should have been Amazon. They had the inside track. They were doing catalog sales when everybody was riding and walking on dirt roads, and they missed it. That was a huge miss.
Yeah.
And so that's what I tell them. You have to keep your eyes open on what's going to tech because it drives everything. So anyway,
How I can improve
I'm
it.
definitely going to give this a shot. I think I'm going to try it with this class.
Yeah, how I can improve it. What do you think? Any criticism, like constructive? I'm open any kind of stuff. What I need to focus more on my presentations. I'm going to do this kind of presentations more. So I have some invitations from different places.
When I do presentations on project-based learning, I typically relate it all back to this, to this chart and show, because a lot of people that are coming to PBL presentations know this. They've at least seen this slide similar to this.
Okay.
So almost this exact slide is in every presentation I give about it. And then a lot of them have been focused on one piece of the pie. Like I've done a few that are just on voice and choice, and some that are on the inquiry side of it. So I would say just for everything you do, relate it back, whether you're giving a presentation or you're designing a course based on it, come back here and check off, am I focusing on this, am I focusing on this? And then you say you have all the research about it because it was given to you when you started this. See why those things are important.
I think next session, 6 months.
For next session.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's coming in.